Dwarf Baby Tears, an aquarium plant that can drive you to tears.
The Dwarf Baby Tears makes a great foreground plant, stays real nice and low. Everybody wants it, but once they start playing with it, they realize it's a little harder than they thought.
Some tips from an expert and an easy alternative in this Fincast.
I work for a service company, and we use ChemiPure all the time. We're big proponents. So there are a lot of products, a lot of Boyd products that we find are very useful, but the ChemiPure is definitely a staple.
Hey everybody, John here with another Fincast. We're talking about planted aquariums today. I've got my 55 planted tank right here. This has had several different iterations over the years, and I've kind of gone back to a little bit of a simpler look. I had too many plants in here for a little while. I couldn't even see the fish, but I've got some lotus plants growing in here, and we'll see how that comes. But so far, I'm pretty happy with this aquarium. Last year at the Global Pet Expo, I ran into the vice president of Florida Aquatic Nurseries. They had an amazing display there at the show, and they had a lot of the low-growing plants that you can put down here that almost looks like a lawn on the bottom of your aquarium. You look at the Takashi Amano tanks online and so forth, and you just drool, but it's very difficult to do that. So here's a guy that grows it for the whole industry, and I thought, well, why not ask him? So his name is Brandon McClane. Again, he's the vice president of Florida Aquatic Nurseries, and I just asked him some questions about baby tears. The first thing he told me is that you need as much light as you can get and then get some more and add CO2.
High light and CO2 are going to be your biggest helpers in keeping that nice and healthy in the foreground. As much light as you can get. You know, it's way low in the water column, so it takes a lot of light to penetrate down to the depths, and it is a high light plant on top of that, so you're going to want a higher amount of light.
He recommends planting small groups of stems using tweezers and then allowing them to grow together to form that carpet look that so many people are seeking. Use a regular regimen of fertilizers, such as these from Seachem, and do regular weekly water changes.
You know, a lot of people plant it in different methods, but when you watch a lot of the aquascapers, they'll take it into little pieces, break apart the pot into little pieces and plant it with a pair of tweezers and space it out, you know, about 1/4 of an inch between each piece to allow it to grow in evenly, and that makes a good scape.
And he says if you just can't win with Dwarf Baby Tears, then try this, flame moss. It's a much easier alternative.
Great alternative. You can use many of the moss varieties. Flame moss is a great moss that a lot of people are using, especially in a shrimp tank. They use the mosses. You could use dwarf hairgrass is another good one, or a cryptocrine parva stays real small. All those are good lower light foreground plants. Flame moss gets its name because the person who named it thought it looked like a flame shooting up more so. Some of the moss varieties want to spread and stay low, where the flame moss is more of an upright moss. It's a real nice bright green color to it. It doesn't have the dull green. You get a nice deep bright army green to it, and it's one of the more popular varieties right now in the trade. The mosses are real easy to keep. Real low maintenance plants. They don't take as much light as everything else, although they can tolerate higher levels of light, but you can get away with low light. The nutrients are minimal compared to everything else, so moss is a good beginner plant also.
And I got to tell you that I think the flame moss is just as pretty as the Dwarf Baby Tears. Maybe not as typical, but obviously just as pretty, and that dark, deep green really is beautiful. So there you go. If you can't do the baby tears, maybe you can do the flame moss. It looks like a pretty easy alternative. I've never tried growing it, but I think I may give it a pop. I think maybe a little patch of it right there would look pretty good, don't you think? I also asked Brandon about a couple of other difficult-to-keep plant species, including some of the plants that have a lot of red in the leaves. They have special needs, so we talked about that a little bit. And then the Madagascar lace plant, that beautiful, tall-looking plant, kind of looks like an Amazon sword plant, but the leaves are made out of, literally look like they're made out of lace. That's also a difficult plant to keep, and I'll have information on those coming up in future Fincasts. So thanks for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done that. I'll put some links down below also on some more information about Dwarf Baby Tears and flame moss. Remember, I also do Fincasts on marine aquariums and cichlids, and I've done a couple of interesting ones if you've ever wondered about the lionfish. Check out the playlist on lionfish as well, and I'll see you in the next Fincast.